here with us today Gerald Solomon, who is the Executive Director of the Samueli Foundation, and the Samueli Foundation recently hosted STEM Summit 2010 in Irvine, California. Can you talk to us a little about how early we need to invoke curriculum into school-age children?
Sure. It's a huge question, and I could sit here for probably hours and give you responses. So let me try to take it in pieces and share information based upon some data. To give you a sense of all of it, and let's do it at the high level first. If you were to look at statistics, over 20% of the CEOs of the Fortune 500 companies in the United States have engineering degrees. It's the #1 background in education for leaders of corporate America. When you look at the school system today, and you look at where the United States is, and you compare that to other countries, we are 9th of the top leading 9 countries that produce engineers in the world. So you have countries, for example, like China, Taiwan, Germany, Japan, England, Ireland, and believe it or not, Kenya, that produce more baccalaureate degrees in engineering today than the United States does. We as a state in California and as a country are founded on and have the capacity to succeed and be competitive because of our ability to innovate, to be able to invent, to be able to be entrepreneurial. In engineering, and specifically around STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and math, are all the precursors that are critical to our ability to compete in the workplace, both locally and globally. Now, to get to the question you asked, which is really why are we having to start earlier? Because it's very clear from all the research today that you lose students by middle school if you haven't gotten them engaged and proficient in math and in science and give them the opportunity to do kind of hands-on, inquiry-based, project-based learning. So whether it's the early access that you get when you're 2 or 3 or 4 years old around spatial play activities, or it's becoming proficient in math and science by 4th or 5th grade, all of that becomes critical.
Let's go back to the workforce of the future. Do we risk losing jobs for U.S. citizens and Californians in particular if we don't have enough well-educated college kids coming out of our schools?
Unfortunately, absolutely. And you're already seeing that. We're in a position to where we just saw, as of just the last few days, notice that one of the big defense contractors is leaving California and going elsewhere because they can't compete because of wages and challenges in California. You have problems also at a national level around immigration policy that says we will only allow a certain number of foreign students to have work visas, so that in the engineering schools, for example, where a significant percentage of the students are coming here because we have the best institutions, and they learn and they develop and they grow to become competent engineers, we then say to them, sorry, you can't stay here and work. You have to go elsewhere. So we're exporting, by government policy, our own developed intellect. And in today's world, whether you go to any continent, they now have the capacity to not only replicate that what we are doing here, but they have the ability to be able to take it to the next level. And you're seeing that especially in the high-tech industry. And it's a huge challenge.
I think that there's been a groundswell of interest in this workforce of the future topic that comes from the STEM Summit.
Yes, there is. Shortly after the STEM Summit, there was an op-ed piece that was really based upon Henry Samueli's opening remarks at the California STEM Summit that we did in Irvine in February. Dr. Samueli shared very candidly what the challenges are in workforce. And as much as he has a passion, and Broadcom, the company that he founded, has a passion for wanting to improve the literacy and capacity of students in America, he also has a fiduciary responsibility as the person who runs a multinational company the size of Broadcom to make sure he has the best and the brightest. there was an interesting op-ed piece, I believe, in the San Jose Mercury News that talked about the challenges that exist with the exportation of intellect, with the challenges with immigration, and in addition, even in California, which is the only state, to my knowledge, that has this. They have a classification around non-doctorate engineers that says, as a blanket rule, you cannot be an exempt employee, that you are in a position to where you don't have the intellectual capacity or you don't meet the testing requirements with a Board of Equalization for California to be exempt. That in and of itself causes such a huge budget impact.
I understand there's also been an organization that has been put together simultaneously in California, CSLNet.
There has been, and it's really thanks to the efforts of the Gates Foundation, the Bechtel Foundation, and Patel, who recognize that there really needs to be a systemic, strategic kind of approach to dealing with STEM education at all levels, internal, external, from early learning all the way up to higher education. The Gates Foundation has seen fit to go ahead and fund basically 6 states to address the idea of creating statewide initiatives, and with funding from the other foundations as I've referenced, they have gone ahead and invested in California in the development of what's called CSLNet, or what I call sometimes the California STEM Network Initiative. And that's being run now by Stephanie Couch, who is just a learned expert in the field of education, especially around K through 14. And it's the idea of how do we take all the disparate pieces and parts in such a huge geographic area as California, where everyone has their own interests and their own geography, and somehow piece it together to where people can share information, share knowledge, where CSLNet can serve as a catalyst to what occurs and develops, and somehow common themes can resonate from that people can buy into and move forward with in a way that really can make a significant impact in STEM education in California.
Thank you, Mr. Solomon. We appreciate you taking part in our STEM Lab series.